Sugi Arana.
This is a brief introduction to the practice of Vipassana, or insight meditation. Though it is a brief overview, it will provide you with the essentials and should be sufficient to gain a broad enough understanding to be able to practice meditation properly and effectively. Vipassana is literally translated as seeing clearly. What we mean by seeing is seeing with the mind's eye, not the physical eye. With objects in the world, if you clearly see something, you will know what you are looking at. If you look at a person's face, due to the comprehension of the details, you will easily understand which person you are looking at, and you will be able to easily name that person. Likewise, in watching with the mind's eye, and supported with concentration, we develop our ability to see mental phenomena clearly and distinctly. Although we start with the sitting posture, it is possible to watch and pay attention in various postures while we are sitting, lying down, walking, or standing. Thus, Vipassana practice is our mental work. One can do it in any posture. For healthy people, we are teaching here sitting and walking meditation. Standing meditation demands considerable amount of energy, while lying down meditation is likely to bring the yogi to fall to sleep. Hence, we do not cover standing and lying meditation here. Instead, we focus initially on the sitting and walking meditation. However, it is important to remember that meditation is not only meant for sitting. Some people may think that when they walk or move about in general activities, it is not necessary to note or pay careful attention. Actually, in meditation, it is more relevant to say that our effort should be made to watch and pay attention in all postures than simply in sitting alone. As I mentioned earlier, it is about watching and noting with the mind's eye physical actions such as moving our hands, legs, opening and closing our eyes, and any other movements you make. One will need to pay attention closely with one's mind's eye to all these movements. As we start to pay closer attention to our experience, another object that will become more obvious are various feelings that arise. Sometimes pleasant feelings are predominant, and at other times unpleasant feelings. If we keep our mindfulness very sharp, we may even notice neutral feelings. Watching and noting on these three kinds of feelings is called Vedana-nupassana. Another common object for the new meditator is thought and the wandering mind. Under thought, we include the various ideas and planning that takes place. Noting on thought is called Citta-nupassana, which means seeing the mind clearly with the mind. The next phenomena that we can see through paying attention we call Dhamma-nupassana, and this is the observation of phenomena and processes which can include seeing, hearing, wanting, anger, etc. When we pay careful attention to these aforementioned objects of contemplation, namely the various physical characteristics and phenomena and feelings, thoughts, and the more general processes, we call it Vipassana. The purpose of mindfulness and Vipassana is to focus on real objects and their nature, nothing else. By nature, we refer to the three characteristics: the nature to arise and pass away, the unsatisfactory nature, and their uncontrollable nature. Thus, we are trying to experience and see directly the momentary phenomena, moment by moment, and in doing so, the ultimate nature of impermanence, unsatisfactoriness, and uncontrollability will become clear. When we are able to pay attention to these primary objects and their characteristics, then this is what we mean by Vipassana. Let that suffice for the overview, and let's take a more detailed explanation of the sitting meditation. Usually, we sit cross-legged in the Burmese way. Here, you do not overlap one leg or another, but you keep them side by side, one slightly in front of the other. After that, you have to keep your back straight, followed by keeping your head in line with your back as well. That means your head is neither bending nor tilting up or down. After you set the position, as on the first day of meditation, you will begin with the 4 guardian meditations. These include reflection on the virtues of the Buddha, on sending metta, on the loathsomeness of the body, and reflections on death. The 4 guardian meditations are very important to do. As for the reflection of the virtue of the Buddha, you do not need to do many of them. Since you will be doing all 4 of the guardian meditations within 5 minutes, you will take about 1 minute for each guardian meditation. If you pick Arahan, the virtue of the Buddha, you will reflect how the Buddha had exterminated all of the defilements and was free from all wrongdoings, whether he was in front of others or whether he was alone. You may compare and contrast this way of living with your mind and the quality, and notice that the Buddha was unique in his level of integrity. Hence, you will see more obvious and outstanding qualities by reflecting on the qualities of the Buddha. Sending metta should be brief as well, and for reflecting on the unpleasant nature of the body and the disgusting nature of the contents of the body, it will help to reduce wrong view. If you only see the individual from parts from head to toe, in the way that if you were to take apart a car engine and look at the bolts and the pieces, then you will see there is really not much to be attached to. With the face itself, the eyes, the nose, the ears, notice how they look unpleasant and attractive and on an individually, and if you were to take them out of the face. If you view the body in this way, you will find it disgusting and your attachment will be reduced. The next guardian meditation is the reflection on death, and this is simply to recollect that we can die at any moment. Death is certain, life is uncertain. You will do these 4 guardian meditations for about 5 minutes. So, do you remember what we have talked about so far? To summarize, reflecting on virtues of the Buddha, sending metta or loving kindness, reflecting on the unpleasant and disgusting nature of the body, and reflecting on death. Reflecting on the Buddha virtues will make your mind calm and peaceful. Sending metta will make you feel safe from danger and protect you. Meditation on the loathsomeness will make you have fewer attachments to your body and give you the strength to deal with unpleasant sensations. And reflecting on death will give you the courage to strive on. There is no great pain like near death, and one day we will experience this separation from loved ones and physical suffering as well. So now, whatever suffering we may experience in this practice will give you more patience and courage to note unpleasant feelings. Thus, it is very beneficial to practice the 4 guardian meditations at the very first setting meditation you do in the day, and when you go and continue with your sitting and walking meditations, you do not need to do the 4 guardian meditations at each sitting or walking session. After you do the 4 guardian meditations, you will then redirect your attention to your abdomen and note rising as the abdomen rises and falling as the abdomen falls. Now, let's see the systematic method on sitting. When you sit, Instead of sitting in the traditional cross-legged position, put one of your feet inside the bending of the other leg like this. So now they are side by side without overlapping each other. For both male and female yogis should follow this method. This way you will have less pain due to the balancing of the leg and the body. Otherwise, you will start to feel pain in the leg. Look at the position of your body. The body weight is pressing directly on the buttocks, causing pain on the side of the buttocks that you're pressing. This will lead to pain on the foot also, creating a discomfortable situation for sitting. Thus, it is recommended to put the legs side by side, which helps create balance in the body weight and provide convenient sitting posture. Here, the convenient sitting posture means you will still experience pain, but it will be less and it will be more bearable. You may be able to bear up to 45 minutes rather than having pain during only 30 minutes of the sitting. This method of sitting is appropriate for intensive retreat. Now we are going to see the position for the hands. The hands will overlap each other just like this. And tips of your thumbs should touch each other. There's no need to push forward, just touch them like this. Then keep your back straight, which means put your wrists here closer to your abdomen, not further in a forward position. It's important to check yourself. Make sure you are not bending forward. If you put your hands forward, your back will automatically be bending, and since the arms are supporting your body, you will soon be sleepy. In order to avoid this, you will have to keep your hands closer here and keep your back straight. After this, keep your head straight. There are different types of vertebrae in your spine. If you bend your back, there will be pressure between each vertebrae, causing irregular blood flow to the nerves and to the brain. You will start to feel giddy and may not be able to see clearly what is happening in your mind and body. That may create some interruptions in the noting. Thus, it is important to keep the back straight here. Occasionally, your back may bend down, but then you should straighten it again mindfully, as and when necessary. When you're stretching your back, at first focus your mind on your vertebrae by noting mindfully, one step at a time, stretching, stretching, stretching. Your mind must be noting on the vertebrae movement, slowly and step by step noting stretching, stretching, stretching. In this way, you will be able to apply the method systematically throughout your sitting meditation, and you will be able to keep your back in an upright posture. Furthermore, make sure your body is not twisting or slumping to the side. When you start sitting, your chin, navel, and touching point of your thumbs must be in a perfectly straight line. Adjust them if necessary to make sure it could be measured by a ruler. Once the body is straight, keep still and look ahead about 5 to 6 feet where you're able to make things out clearly. By doing so, your head is neither bending down nor tilting up. Some yogis used to bend their heads down in sitting meditation. As a result, they could hardly catch up with the meditation object, and they couldn't see it clearly. Their focusing on the object became intermittent. Sometimes, frequent disruptions in noting occurred. You should be careful about this. If the head is bending down, lift it up and start doing the 4 guardian meditations as described above. If you do these step by step, you will feel relaxed from the previous walking or other activities. Do not rush to note the rising and falling at the moment you sit down. You may have difficulty catching up with this object. You may even try harder but fail again because of fatigue or stress. This is not a good start for a yogi. That's the reason we use the 4 guardian meditations, to calm the mind. When your mind is calm, aim your mind to the abdomen, particularly between the chest and the belly button. Note rising once the abdomen begins to rise from the chest to the belly button, from the beginning until the end. See as if you were looking at the object with your mind's eye, not physically bending down with the head to look or see. Also, label rising as rising and note it continuously without stopping. You may stop labeling later when you become more skillful in noting, but you shouldn't do so in the initial stage. If you stop, your mind has fewer things to focus on and it will tend to drift away. Now, since you ask your mind to see the object with labeling, the mind is likely to say closer, fixed on the object. There's no need to label the object verbally, but simply label with the mind only. Rising, rising, falling, falling. Well, what you will see may be an image of the abdomen at first. Later, you will come to see the form or the shape. And finally, you will come to see the ultimate phenomena. Sometimes there are more than one kind of seeing as form and phenomena together. You will also see later how the rising starts, where it starts, and so on. The yogi's duty is to aim well and note rising as the abdomen rises and falling as the abdomen falls. Do not think or expect what you will see. It works in the simple way here. If you look here, you will see what is going on. After a while, when you put too much effort into noting, you may get tired and your breathing may get faster, causing pain in the chest. If this happens, you can aim your thumb at the touching point immediately and note touching, touching about 10 times. Touching is also an object of meditation. Not only rising and falling are the only objects. When you note touching, pick a touching point and you can move your mind from the abdomen to the point where your thumbs touch or your hands touch or your legs touch the ground. Then you can return, noting the rising and falling as you can with ease. Repeat this process, noting the touching as you find necessary, and after noting touching about 10 times, you can return your attention to the primary object of rising and falling. So you will move between object to object. If you note touching alone in detail and with mindfulness, you will be amazed to find so many details. Touching looks very simple, but if you note respectfully and mindfully, you will clearly see complicated processes of physical phenomena working in your body. Sometimes you will have thought, and you are no longer able to note on the rising and falling. If so, you should note the thought as thinking. This means you do not take the subject of what you are thinking. Instead, there are some places where your noting arises, for example, in the rising and falling. Thought, however, usually arises in your head. Aim your noting mind where the thoughts arise. If you think about your home, do not note reaching home by taking your home as the object. Instead, you will aim where the mind arises and note reaching home, but paying attention to the mind. Though labeling is reaching home, do not follow its direct meaning. What's more important here is to note the thinking mind where it appears. You will note this about 10 times. Don't get frustrated when thoughts arise. Cetanupassana, mindfulness of the mind, is developed if you know how to note. When you note rising, falling, mindfulness and effort are accompanied in your mind. Similarly, if you know how to note thought properly, mindfulness and effort are always there. By noting so, the unwholesome mind does not have a chance to arise. Most yogis get confused when they have many thoughts arising. They do not know that these are mental objects to be noted. If you clearly understand and know how to deal with thoughts in your meditation, you will be at ease and able to note them when they arise. You will note them about 10 times in a regular and relaxed manner, thinking, planning, and so on. After noting 10 times, go back to the rising and falling and stay there as much as you can. Thought may arise just after a moment. Then you can note thinking again as described earlier. If you train your mind like this, later the thinking mind is likely to stop wandering. The yogi will not get frustrated with his wandering mind, and as a result, his mind will become calm, and he will be able to stay on the object of meditation, the rising and falling. Most of the times, mindfulness of the mind, or Cetanupassana, was totally ignored or practiced very little, even though the instruction was given to do so. And yogis did not come to any level of understanding at all about what was happening in their mind. The yogi will come to understand about mental-physical relationships in greater detail later. Now, feel free to switch the focus between rising and falling and mental objects whenever that is necessary. Note on the mind objects each time about 10 notes or as needed. Soon your mind will become steady and stay more focused on the primary object. Another object in sitting meditation is feeling. Do not get upset when unpleasant feelings arise. No one can go without experiencing unpleasant feelings. If the yogi is diligent in sitting, then he will definitely face uncomfortable physical sensations. This is one of the meditation objects, and it is important for the yogi not to get frustrated and to be able to note them as they are. If not, the yogi may feel upset and cannot note the pain. When you feel pain, focus well where the pain is. In fact, we are here working to understand the nature of the mind and body. An object like pain should be noted without failing. The body itself is suffering, and it will disclose its true nature when we are looking clearly in the Vipassana practice. When you see your body is suffering, you will struggle to do something to escape this difficulty, and this will lead you down the path to liberation. If you feel pain, note pain in your mind, but also focus your mind on the spot exactly where the pain is. Likewise, for itchiness, note itch, and see it with your mind's eye, seeing with full attention as if you were looking at one object with your physical eyes, not superficially. This manner of seeing is applied in noting every object, rising and falling, citta nupassana, and noting pain. Seeing in a detailed manner how the pain can increase or decrease. It is simply not enough to be aware of the pain itself. This awareness is kind of the awareness that an instinct that a kid or an animal might have. A yogi's awareness should be more than that. What you need here is the courage to see the pain closely and steadily and to note it about, say, 10 times. Then leave it as it is and get back to noting the rising and falling. If you can't focus on the rising and falling because the pain is super intense, then note the pain again, and repeat the same process as necessary, making sure not to change the position of the body immediately once you feel pain. Vipassana is in progress as long as you can note. Later, you will be able to focus well on the primary object. Even you can identify small objects as they arise. Virya or effort and sati, mindfulness, is accompanied in your mind. And also samadhi or concentration is involved when you focus on an object clearly. Now you may not see anything clearly since your samadhi or concentration is not fully developed, but progressively, once the mind becomes still and clear, you will see the truth in your body. It is just like a mirror. If the mirror is dirty, the image cannot be very clear. When it is clean, images appear clearly on it. Similarly, when you fix your attention on objects like rising and falling, or citta nupassana, mindfulness of the mind, and feeling or pain, samadhi or concentration will be developed, and the mind is clear from defilement, slowly but surely. There is power in your seeing. As much power as you have, you will see the truth in the object that you are seeing, like rising and falling of the abdomen. In the noting of pain, you will see the phenomena of pain. In citta nupassana, you will understand about the thought process gradually. If you cannot bear the pain anymore, you may change the posture. When you change your position, note changing, or releasing, in whatever way you prefer. It is essential that if you move your hand, your mind should continue to focus on the movement of the hand. In the beginning, you may see nothing but your physical hand in the mind's eye. With diligent practice and mindfulness, you will see many things happening in the process of moving your hand. In fact, it's like viewing a 3D movie where you are staring at the pixelated images on the computer screen. The image will be captured in the eyes or with seeing even sooner. Likewise, if you aim and see many times with mindfulness, you will know what is happening directly and truthfully. However, you need to be diligent to reach this stage. If you are lacking appropriate effort and you are noting superficially, you will come to know nothing. You may note as and how you like, releasing the hand or moving it. What's more important here is that your mind should be able to note and stick with the object. If you give hand support, note supporting. When you release your leg, note releasing, and this is the way to change the posture. If you are moving two parts of your body simultaneously, you may aim at one of them, which is the more obvious. There is no reason that you should be unsure about what to note if there is more than one object or movement at a time. Just pick one of them and focus. Your job is then done. What is essential here is that your noting mind must always be with one of the objects in your body, with feelings, with thought, or with phenomena. By keeping this up, when you change the posture, you are still practicing Dhamma, and you will gain relief from the unpleasant feeling. However, if you change the position, you will feel relief from the pain temporarily. But you should not change too frequently. In fact, you have to bear the pain and continue. If you endure pain for 5 more minutes, you will build up your tolerance for 5 minutes the next time. For example, if you start to have pain at 30 minutes into the sitting and you sit with it for 5 more minutes, then the pain will come the next time maybe at 35 minutes of the sitting. And if you can bear with 5 minutes more, then you will build up to 40 minutes the next time, and so on. In this manner, you should be able to sit for an hour without changing the posture. If you are not patient and change your position immediately when there is discomfort, the pain will never go away. Sooner, you will have to face the pain. This is a very important point in noting pain. So to summarize, in sitting meditation, keep your back straight, keep your head straight, and look to about 5 or 6 feet in front of you. Then close your eyes. Cultivate the 4 guardian meditations for a few minutes. Recollections of the quality of the Buddha, loving kindness meditation, meditation on the repulsiveness of the body, and meditation on death. After that, focus your attention on your abdomen and say in your mind, rising, rising, when the abdomen rises. Your mind's eye is paying attention to the rising as well, and note falling when the abdomen falls. Your duty is just to stare at the object with your mind's eye, not expecting to see anything, and trying to catch the whole process of rising from the beginning to the end. At the beginning, you will not be able to pay attention to the entire rising process, but you will only see part of it. Sometimes you'll catch it at the beginning, and sometimes near the end. However, if you keep making effort, you will become more skillful. Your mind will be in alert and the ready position to catch the object when it arises. This is mindfulness becoming stronger, and this is the goal to achieve when you do sitting meditation. Sometimes you may be too eager to grab the object of meditation, and you might experience pain in the chest or faster breathing. In that case, try noting on touching where the hands are touching about 10 times before you go back to rising and falling. If the breath is getting faster, switch to touching again. You can do so when you have thoughts coming in as well. Note on thinking 10 times and go back to noting the rising and falling, so on and so forth. Likewise, you can switch to note feeling as and when they arise, and then return to the rising and falling. By doing this, you should be able to note the primary object and secondary objects without failing. If you hear sounds that are loud enough and striking your ears for a long time, you may note it a few times. When you note the hearing, focus your mind to your eardrum, not to follow where the sound is coming from. Later, you will find out that your eardrum is vibrating when the sound is striking it. You may hear a beep of sound consisting of many fractions in it, and this way you will come to understand the nature of sound. When this happens, it will be as if you are hearing sound being broken into many pieces that were joined together. It will not be smooth and continuous sound anymore. When it strikes the eardrum, you will find hearing awareness arises. The principle of noting and hearing is to aim your mind to the eardrum. In seeing, similarly, aim your mind at the cornea of the eyes, not on the object that you are seeing. Aversion or greed may arise if you follow the content of what you are seeing, men, women, things, so on and so forth. At times, you will have no choice but to see something and your eyes immediately note seeing. You will come to know about the seeing image in your eyes as the process occurs. Awareness of seeing arises when the image strikes our corneas. Currently, we do not prioritize the noting of seeing or hearing. We note them only as and when they occur. You will also try to note the rising and falling thoroughly and smoothly from beginning to end. This is the summary of the sitting meditation. Next, I will continue with the basics of walking meditation.